Do you feel like you're just going through the motions in life? This podcast is for you. A while back, I felt just like you. It wasn't until I heard that whisper in the wind, Nadine, learn to podcast. Now I'm on a journey of discovery, interviewing others who have also leaped into the unknown. I'm Nadine O, creator of the Over 50 You Are Not Done Yet show, a podcast about personal awakenings, spiritual connections, and stories of joy. Shall we begin?
I saw it. The digital world is nothing more than a microcosm of the street.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a street kid. I'm from Brooklyn, New York. That's why I like North Philly. That's why I like the streets of Philly. You see, people that come from New York, they love Philly for that reason, especially if you're from a hardened area.
Mm-hmm.
The first place you get intrigued by is South and North Philly.
Artist and teacher Don Stephens has such a passion for the creative process. His philosophy has inspired folks of all ages. Talking with him was like going to a jazz concert late at night, smooth and inviting. Grab some coffee, tea, or your favorite spirits, and be prepared to be inspired. You just might unleash the inner artist inside of you. What's your story? Who is Don Stephens?
Who is Don Stephens?
Yeah.
Do I go all the way back to conception?
It's up to you. I mean, we have a lot to cover.
I'll take you back there because a lot of people don't know that. I don't get to talk about my how would you say, lineage or my pedigree walk. You know what I mean? But I say I started off in Brooklyn, New York. So I'm a Brooklynite by heart.
Mm-hmm.
What happened was at that point was I was one of those kids that, was a busybody. I always wanted to do something. Mama, can I? Mama, can I? Mama, can I? Oh my God, I'm gonna slap the mess out of this boy if he don't leave me alone. So I started off nagging her in the kitchen.
Mm-hmm.
So my creativity started off in the kitchen and the love of smelling the food that mom was cooking.
Mm-hmm.
So mom was making an artist, and she's not an artist. God rest her soul, she's not here no more. But she's not an artist, but she was building an artist because she would put the eggshells in front of me just to keep me busy and say, all right, draw the eggshells.
Really?
All right, after I did that, I would draw the egg carton. After that, I would draw everything in the room. She would do everything to keep me busy. Then all of a sudden, the best one that she did for the rest of my life was draw what you see out the window. Draw that car across the street. Draw the building. Draw the lady in the window across the street.
Mm-hmm.
That's how it started. So then from there, you transition into being that kid in school, how would you say, K through 8, that's winning all the art contests in class.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? At this point, I'm still in New York. I'm still a Brooklynite. Then we go to high school. I get the opportunity to go to Art and Design High School in New York. It was because of my matriarchs, meaning that my aunt, my mother, they saw that I had this, ability. And they said, okay, we worried about what this young man gonna do. We see he's full of energy. This is the crack era. We don't want him in South Shore High School. So if you check South Shore High School at a certain point, athletically, they were inclined. The school was state and everything else. But as far as education and opportunity on other levels, they were kind of wavering. That was my local high school in Brooklyn, New York. So my mother was like, nah, we're not doing that. You know what I mean? You're going to take this pilgrimage to Art and Design High School and get off in 57th Avenue and 57th Street and 2nd Avenue and get your art on. So then from there, I transitioned down to South Jersey. How I get down here? Well, it goes back a little bit. I was that kid that would transition, did that traditional transition. You lived in the North, then when summertime came, when you was a little bit too much to handle, where'd you wind up at? Down South. You know what I mean? So this area, South Jersey, Burlington County, was considered part of the South because my mother's sister migrated down here. And then historically, my family migrated up here from being sharecroppers in North Carolina, my mother's side. So how would you say, I wound up in this area out of tradition and out of family circumstance, So now I'm in South Jersey. I graduated high school, 87. To bring it up to date a little bit faster now. Now I'm going to Burlington County College.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to figure out things. I'm trying to understand if this is even me. You know, do I want to continue doing art and everything else? All right, the environment started to accept me. I got an internship to be a graphic design student and make banners and things like this. I didn't even ask. It just rolled up on me and said, hey, you know, Jewish lady, and I bless her soul, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
She's not here no more, but she was one of the ones that said, no, I see something. You got to make banners. I need you to make banners. So I made all the banners for the college back then when I was there and got a lot of acclaim for it. Started doing it for the neighborhood. And they started to be able to, I would just say, before Photoshop and all that good stuff, I was doing that work in the photostat machine room. You know the deal with that.
Mm-hmm.
So I learned all of those earlier crafts. Art and design high school established me with understanding the arts from all angles. You know what I mean? It was like the 36 chambers of martial arts and the arts,
Mm-hmm.
because you went in there and you learned each chamber. Painting, PDS, industrial design, fashion, cinematography,
Mm-hmm.
advertising. You got a little bit of everything in the first 2 years, and then you picked what you was going to do for your last two. And I went illustration.
Mm-hmm.
So I got the beginnings of the digital world. So now I'm in South Jersey, and now I already know the digital world, but now I'm in the graphics technology department for the Associates of Applied Science.
Mm-hmm.
So then now I connect all of that together. Now I'm in the Marine Corps because I'm trying to pay for it. So, you know, I go to the Marine Corps Reserves. Yeah, you know, Hup 1, 2, 3, you know, it was a cool thing to do. Loved the brotherhood, but hated the bureaucracy. Mm-hmm. So when I got my chance and I got flown over the Desert Storm, I really didn't get in the Desert Storm. We was in the air, and then Bruce Jr. said it was over. We didn't really even touch down too much. We hit the ground and turned back around and came back to America, to California, and I didn't get to get the foreign hash mark to be able to say I'm a real true veteran. But I'm a veteran anyway. Mm-hmm. So, but that was part of the Temple experience. So I went to Tyler School of Art, Temple University. And when I got out there, I just explored the city. I loved Philadelphia. I loved what it had to offer, the nature, the connection between nature and man. Mm-hmm. It's all around you. You had all this history. It's the first state to have the government. So I was going through everything and looking at everything. So what is Don? He's an observant person. He's a rustic guy. He's an old traditionalist, but he's also a computer literate type of cat. You know, I was one of the ones that first got abused, you might as well say, with the handheld Game Boys and everything else. I got taught on the first Quark Express .009 or something like that. Mm-hmm. The first Illustrator, all that good stuff. I was part of that first cusp that you learned on a little Macintosh little box tower thing.
Yeah,
I learned on all of that. And then the first things that they did for television, for the outros and intros, for the logos for news, I learned all of that too as well on the CAD system. When it was earlier on, when they had the big cord on the back of the light stick, you know what I mean? You had to hold it. It was about that thick. The lightsaber was, and things like that. Mm-hmm. So what is Don? He's an old soul, but with a new spirit, and he loves doing art. He's always creating. And after those points, what happened was I found myself in Philadelphia, and I said, hey, what do I want to do? So I started looking around, and I started seeing where people didn't want to go. So then that's what lends me to where I'm at current day now. What started to happen was that I started to be able to obtain contracts in places of, how would you say, concern but no concern when it comes to people with degrees. Mm-hmm. Meaning that, I want to be in all the nice spots, suburban, things like this. Right. But, you know, the opportunities may be elsewhere. So I started doing contract work through the prison society with Homer Society or Homer Jackson over in when it was over on Spring Garden Street. Then I started to look into the behavioral sciences and started getting contracts for that. Independent contracts. Before there was a thing called artist instructor, I was doing that already. Then I fell upon what they called, because my mother now, she was going through things. Some of the females in my family was going through things. So you have to go and see them when they're convalescing or when they're in a rehabilitation center. Mm-hmm. So I'm one of the ones that goes and likes, I'm full of energy. I like doing stuff like that. But what I found was they had an activities director.
Mm-hmm.
Then I found out that all these centers have activities directors.
Mm-hmm.
I said, so I shot a letter to each one to say what I had to offer, which was drawing classes for the elders. And I put down what it was all about. How would you say, getting individuals to understand that everybody on this planet is an artist,
Mm-hmm.
and it's through line, shape, form, light, and surface. So all of that formulated from the interest from, how would you say, looking after your elders, these people that loved you so much and watched you, now you have to watch them, and then being observant within the situation to see where my particular talents can have an opportunity to shine.
So who inspired you, or who was your mentor or teacher?
Well, like I said earlier on in my little description of myself that got wordy, I felt it getting wordy. I was like, oh man, I'm talking too much. Let me slow this down. But no, it was my matriarchs, to be quite honest with you. And it was on both sides. You know what I mean? I don't blame my father. I know who my father is. I'm not one of those. It was just that it was a 70s thing. I'll put it to you that way. I was born in 69.
Mm-hmm.
So, Barry White, marijuana in the basement, day glow paint on the wall. You know what I'm talking about. So, those type of situations made me. I don't hold nobody accountable or blame anybody.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So my matriarchs, I just thank him for leaving me with the women he left me with.
True.
You know what I mean? So I would say my Aunt Annie,
Mm-hmm.
she would be one of my mentors earlier on because she wouldn't teach me directly. It would be indirect.
Mm-hmm.
She was going to NYU. She was one of those young ladies that was doing that back then, the progressive young ladies going to college,
Mm-hmm.
investing your time in your arts and everything else and philosophy, poetry and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
So she was like an indirect but direct mentor. But she was one of the ones with my mother that took me to art and design to take the test to get in.
Gotcha.
Helped me get my portfolio together. Didn't do the portfolio for me. She said, you're going to have to do several things. And I started pulling out stuff. She said, well, you already did this stuff. All we got to do is just put it together.
Mm-hmm.
Because of what my mother did with my training of me being busy, of doing eggshells, egg cartons, the kitchen, her standing there in the kitchen cooking breakfast, cooking lunch, her about to look like she about to smack me. I can see her face moving up and down. I would draw these things, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So these were my mentors earlier on. Okay, let's go back to K through 8. If you go back to K through 8, I mentioned I was one of those kids that was turned out on doing artwork and the teacher responding to it.
Mm-hmm.
Once that happened once, it was a wrap. It was like crack. I had to have every teacher like that.
This is the Over 50 You Are Not Done Yet show.
Okay, from there, I'm going with my mom to work. She's working at Citibank on Wall Street. So she's in the tower. She's working for the Parking Violations Bureau. Well, if you have an understanding of any one of those type of departments in New York City, it's like a rainbow coalition. It's everybody in there, Chinese, Japanese, all women though, Spanish and everything else. Some of the men were there. At the time, it was African and Indian and Jamaican.
Mm-hmm.
So I got to meet a whole bunch of nationalities and stuff. And then what I started to do was they caught on that I did art. So I started doing illustrations for her managers.
Oh, wow.
For her district manager for PVV. I would come in and this is how I would get my art supplies. I would do a portrait. I would give it to one of the managers. And the next thing you know, I get a box full of art supplies.
Nice.
And I'm going to art design high school. I ain't got money to buy this stuff. My mama don't. But my mom saw me hustling. She just said, hey, do what you do, baby. You know what I mean? And, it goes forward. I started to go, how would you say, into Manhattan in the village, in the east village, and where some of the girls' high schools were and stuff, because I'm a young man. Mm-hmm. I'm trying to find where all the chicks are, you know what I mean? So at that time, I'm chasing, but I'm drawing in the street. Mm-hmm. I'm meeting what you would call street people that did art. Mm-hmm. And they're looking at they look at my stuff every day when I'm coming out there. So I'm getting tutelage from those type of people. Mm-hmm. To go to art and design high school or any type of industrial art schools, you're going to bump into teachers that's going to be beautiful people. Mm-hmm. I was fortunate enough to meet a whole bunch of people, not just black. I was fortunate to have a black male teacher, but I had Jewish, Chinese, and so on and so forth. Mm-hmm. Multiculturalism, that shaped me too as well.
You can subscribe to our monthly newsletter on our website at over50youarenotdoneyet.com. The link is in our show notes. Let's talk about your passion at its core, because I think the listener would get a lot out of your perspective.
Art is a human condition.
Mm-hmm.
Art is an experience, but it's also like a sense, because you put all your senses in to be able to realize it and have an expression. And when you express, you're having an experience. So art to me is the glue to everything, to all existence.
So essentially everyone is an artist?
Everyone is an artist.
How?
Everyone, every human being.
How, in what way?
Through motion.
Mm-hmm.
Through motion. Motion is time. So you're looking at reactions in the environment you're in. So for instance, if I'm looking at the water and I see this stuff that I can't see, but I can see something moving over the water when it's hot. And then when I do these drawings with these squiggly lines, when we go to science or symbology, it says that something is coming from something.
Mm-hmm.
Well, most of all the symbols and everything you deal with in your individual regular life and in society and in the planet and the whole, it's all based upon your, how we say, experiences within the environment.
Mm-hmm.
So everyone's an artist based upon just being animated. You have to express. There's no question in it. If you don't express, you're a robot. You're an automaton now. You're like the Nutcracker, the original Nutcracker, when they was walking into the wall like that with the hats on. You're an automaton. You're not that.
Yeah.
You're not synthetic.
Mm-hmm.
You're organic. Anything organic has to have an experience.
Mm.
It's like you can't get away from it. It's your absolute birthright to be a creator, to create. It's society and yourself that strips yourself away from.
Got it.
The key to me was I never let go of how I felt about art from beginning to now. That means like I have the same thought process, the same feeling that I had from when I first woke up that morning and drew Charlie Brown, and I was drawing Snoopy when he was doing the thing. I had on my Fruit of the Loom. This is my first real experience. So I'm watching the black and white TV. I'm looking at it, and it's that Christmas special when he's doing the Red Baron. You know what I mean? And I'm getting all excited. My mom threw the crowns on the floor. I get the drawing. I'm shaking, getting excited in my Fruit of the Loom, Batman underwear. You know what I'm saying? Doing my thing. I run into the kitchen. Mom, look. She says, hold on. She's on the phone. Got the cord all wrapped around her. She's cooking. You know what I mean? Hold on, y'all, on the phone. She hold on the phone. All right. And she looks at me. You didn't do that. You traced that. No, I didn't. Do another one. It was on. From there, it was on. Mm-hmm. I went back, did another one, came back, made her get off the phone from showing her the next one. The next one I did was when Lucy pulls the football away from Charles all the time. She hung up the phone. She was like, girl, I got to talk to you later. She was talking to my Aunt Annie on the phone. She said, girl, I got to talk to you later. This boy done did something I can't believe. And then she sat down and watched him. In the small one-bedroom apartment in the living room, she watched me draw. She was like, I can't believe it. Now I know what to do. Draw the eggshell. Oh, that's when it was on that way. And then this is where I'm at. So that's why art is all about experience. You can't pick up a spoon and put it to your mouth without art. The spoon that you had was art. The house that you was in, the glasses that you got on, art. Somebody made those spectacles. You know what I mean? Somebody sat down to draw that out. The pencil, everything in your existence as a human being was created by someone like ourselves. Somebody that has a predisposition and wants to stay in it to create. That's why when you get 50 and above, what are you talking about, Jim? You know how many people I bump into and say, well, nobody cares my information at all. I said, wait a minute. Isn't your information the foundation that everything sits on? So isn't 2 + 2 4? Well, I know with the new math, 1 + 1 can be 3. Yeah, if we're talking physical or tangibles, but on the actuality, 1 + 1 is still going to be 2. you know? So how is your information old?
Yeah, but that's such a struggle for folks that are getting older. And
I know, because they don't know how to transition. That's why I'm here.
so let's talk about why you're
That's
here.
why I'm here.
Why are you here?
To help individuals on the planet understand that they need to be observant and that it's your human right to be an artist. You're an artist by conception. Soon you came out the womb with the pee-pee and the poop and the blood and everything all over you. You know what I mean? You was pure and impure at the same time. And it was on ever since then. See colors and you started to react to colors and everything else. At one point, you had your own thoughts about what colors were until people came in and rearranged your thoughts. That's what I was able to hold on to from being a child doing it and just having the space just to create. My mother and my aunt, when we talk about mentoring now, they wouldn't sit down and say, "This is a circle. This is how you use a circle." No, they were saying, "Boy, go do. Leave me alone." I had space in every home that I went to have. They knew to control Don. All they needed was food and art supplies, and I'll be intrigued all day. I was one of those. Then I would go and I would do basketball and sports and all of that, and I would play and box and fight. But to really keep me, if you was babysitting me back in the day, all you needed was some crayons and some paper and a couple of ham sandwiches back then. Don't eat ham anymore, but back then I was on that slide. And you can get down and tell on everybody for a ham sandwich. Or a handful of turkey or chicken sandwich. You know the deal. That's 70s living.
70s. You know? Whatever was on the table, you had to eat.
Yeah, but see, I didn't eat a lot of cold cuts and stuff. They would buy a chicken and make chicken salad and make a chicken sandwich off the chicken breast.
Right.
Turkey. Buy turkey breast, cut it up, and then eat that like it's sandwich. That's how I ate when I was younger. I never knew I was poor until I got to high school or after high school. Because I was able to eat. I went down south. I went on trips. I didn't know I was broke. Far as I knew, I was privileged in my mind. Right. I went to art design high school. What do you mean I'm broke? You know what I mean?
Right.
And then it hits you. Holy crap, my mom was struggling. That's why she took those polyester suits to the cleaners to get patched up. I thought she was trying to be stylish. I thought my mom was the bomb because she sent everything to the cleaners. Nope. Learning experiences. Wow. So when you made mention to time frames and how you are, I believe now I just started to learn how to live. Greetings, everybody. I'm Don Stephens from Don Stephens Art. Thank you for participating and listening to the show. Please, if you want to participate in any one of the endeavors I'm in, please check me out at www.facebook.com/Dee Steeze Pro. That's DeeSteezepro. You also can email me if you want directly, DonArt8769@gmail.com. Once again, that's DonArt8769@gmail.com. Thanks again, and back to our show.
There's always some kind of shift that happens where it might change your perspective or open up your eye. You're saying you're now learning how to live?
I had an epiphany. What happened was you get these little degrees, and now I was about to go get the master's. I had several opportunities to go get the master's for free if I was to go to California, Arizona, these areas. I said, no, I don't want to. Why can't I be in this area? That was a shift because I couldn't understand why, if I'm good, I can't stay local. Why must I have to go? You see, I already went someplace, didn't like the desert and came back. I don't want to go to these places. I want to be in the Mid-Atlantic. I love this area. I want to be indigenous to it. I want to, you know what I mean? But they were saying no. So that was a shift. Another one was getting to understand real fiat and getting to understand real movements as far as economics and your public stance and your governmental stance. See, I believe from my experience, I can't talk about everybody from my experience, I didn't learn anything about true survival as far as paperwork is concerned until I messed up on my first loan, my first car loan. And even still then, it didn't kick in. So then, as I'm transitioning through my 30s, I don't have a wife, I don't have kids, so I'm not bothered by these type of experiences. I'm not bothered by not having it because I have my creativity. So, you know what I mean? I'm not worried about that aspect of the transitioning. My thing was I noticed that I was lied to. I had got angry at my mother one day, and we had a real debate. She invited the homegirls over, as she called them. They all came over, and we got into it. They let me curse and everything else, let me get in. This is in the 30s. And then that's when all the real came out. And I let them know that, hey, I feel as if somebody lied to me. That's why I came to y'all mad. I understand that they lied to you now. So I can't be mad at you. But I want to find out about this lie. Because I don't want to have to put up with lies no more. So then I was dealing with a lot of anger from 30 to 45. You see, mom transitioned 2010. So now that's the big transition, because now I'm looking at, wow, wait a minute. Not that I don't love my mother. I invested a lot of time in that and everything else. And now this foreclosure is about to go down. I didn't prepare properly. I didn't see that I needed to have a certain economic threshold built up. I was oblivious to it. I was oblivious to really managing when you had little jobs at 401k. I'm thinking, whatever. As long as I got money in my pocket, I'm good. I can manage anything I want. No, I didn't understand. So that's what I mean now. With everything that has to go into survival, I understand now how to live. I didn't know how to do the paperwork right.
Got it.
Even though I knew how to read it, I knew how to place it, I knew how to go into the offices and do what you need to do. Yeah, I did all of that, but I didn't really know. I can really be honest with you. I didn't really know. I thought living was something else. I thought living was something else totally. And then when I had that epiphany, right around when my mother passed, it was like, wow, you really don't know how to live. You know how to survive. You know how to function, but you don't really know how to live. Then I really figured it out. I figured it out. I started smiling more. Yeah, okay. All right, I got to figure. I can't get mad. Everything is strategy. Everything is game theory when you're dealing in European westernized civilization. I didn't understand that. We deal from our heart. My word is born. What I say, I do. If I don't do it, I'm whack. I'm nobody now. I can't be trusted. This guy says things and he doesn't walk behind them. Well, now, today, you can do that. You don't have to be a man of your word today. You just don't. So, you see, I had to really look at these things that are in an unspoken social book. Most of these things are unspoken things that people just take for granted that you're supposed to know. My uncle looked at me and was like, you didn't know all that? Dang, excuse my expression, dang, little Nick. You had a car, you had all of this, you had all that. How come you couldn't understand that? Because I never was sat down and it was explained to me directly. It was all indirect. How did I know I was a man? When I got my first car loan, my first apartment, you know what I mean? And my first little touch of a young lady outside of high school.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? That's when you think and you feel that you're a man. I invited to my apartment. We go have dinner. You know what I mean? I'm a man now. I'm a Marine. You know what I mean? I'm all of this. I got the suit on it. I'm a man. No, I wasn't. I was being groomed, assimilated to think I'm a man without knowing exactly what that gender is.
More information on our guest today can be found in our show notes. You're freelance.
Yes, independent contractor, freelance.
And that's very difficult.
I don't look at it like that. I look at it as this was my journey. So since this is my journey and I accepted it, like when I was younger, I really did some things. So I looked in the mirror and I said, I don't want to do nothing else but art all my life. And I said, I have to do this for myself. And I said it like a mantra. I didn't even know it was a mantra. I said it like that every morning from K through high school. So, it's not difficult to me because how would you say, it's like when you go to the bathroom. You don't think when you wipe and when you do your movement, you'll say, oh, I need this much excretions, I need this much water in my system to be able to have this matter go here. You're not thinking like that. You're on impulse. I believe your artwork should be that way. So in it being that way, it's more natural, then it's part of society. Mm-hmm. It's the glue to society. It helps everything move in society. I saw that. So then I was like, okay, so then I can do it, even though others don't see how I can do it. Mm-hmm. Because in society, it's being posted up to everyone still to this day that art is not a viable income stream, and it's not a viable career path, and it's really recreation. Mm. This is still, it permeates in the society's mind right to this day. That's one of the dangers, but it's being debunked. And I think some of the younger people for this, because without them just pushing past and doing this internet thing and everything else, after Basquiat, we wouldn't have had nobody to put pressure on the elder community to let go of the art.
Talking about the internet, and I guess we have to bring up the fact that the whole world has experienced COVID-19 pandemic. How are you adjusting to being a independent contractor and artist?
I was fine before COVID came. Sometimes I wish I would have had the COVID-19 so I could feel better about the whole experience. Right. I tell people, my pockets caught COVID. Because as soon as it came in, they closed down all the parks and recreation centers and all the elder centers. This is where I hustle. Mm-hmm. This is where I do a main, like 80%, 85% of my bottom line is covered by going to the elder community and servicing these people creatively. Now you shut that down, it's like, oh man. Now that 15 or that 10 to 25% or 10 to 20% of me making it off my artwork, I had to jump up real fast because you don't have that much clientele if you're focusing on other things. Mm-hmm. So I had to really diversify and come back to the internet and say, okay, I got to do these videos. Mm-hmm. I got to do everything that's newly said pounding the street. Mm-hmm. That's all it is. It's pounding the street. If somebody gives me a friend or a like on a certain picture, 100 people give me likes. I'm going through that like list and I'm sending everybody a message. Mm-hmm. And I'm dry selling everybody. Mm-hmm. Hey, how are you today? Mm-hmm. Hope your holiday is going well. Well, if you love this artwork, why not love it enough to make it join and make your whole environment bright and loving too as well? Hey, please give me a call. Or you know what, better yet, go to the Cash App and put it in and leave a note and let me know you want it. Mm. Yeah, I saw it. Mm-hmm. The digital world is nothing more than a microcosm of the street. Mm. I'm a street kid. I'm from Brooklyn, New York. That's why I like North Philly. That's why I like the streets of Philly. You see? People that come from New York, they love Philly for that reason, especially if you're from a hardened area. Mm-hmm. The first place you get intrigued by is South and North Philly.
All right, stay tuned for part 2 of my interview with artist and teacher Don Stephens.